actually gave this to me like a year ago for my birthday, and I forgot about it. I recently found it and thought it could be fun. I did a few January and February, and then I just did June and thought this could be a fun video. So we're gonna jump in and do July, and I'm just gonna sit and chat while I do this paint by number. So the first color we have is going to be vanilla. Number 2 will be, I think it's supposed to be seafoam, but it was a little different. This is daffodil. Then we've got an orange, I can't remember what it was called. And then a nice little brown, navy blue, a nice olive green, and a hunter green. So we're gonna start with number 1, and when I paint, I like to shake the paint and have it get up on the lid and just use my paintbrush in there. It makes it so you don't waste as much paint. So we're just gonna go in and start adding the first color. I'm not gonna do a step-by-step of this whole thing because that would get really boring, but while I'm talking this first part, I'm just gonna be filling in all of the number 1s with this vanilla creamy color. And I don't know why I think this is so relaxing, but I really love painting, whether it's paint by numbers or whatever. I also painted some cute little air dry clay magnets that I will have to show you because they turned out so fun. Painting is very much my relaxing activity. It's kind of interesting because actually my great-grandma was a pretty good painter, and I have one of her paintings that I put up every fall. It's a nice little landscape of a little cabin up in the mountains with some pretty fall foliage. Is it foliage or foliage? Foliage, I think. Anyway, I really love it, and I put it up on my shelves every year, and it's fun to have a little reminder of her. I would love to get better at painting. I actually did a little class with my stepmom, who has been doing tons of painting classes, and she goes to this rec center, and so last year, was it last year? The year before, my sister-in-law and I joined her for a painting class where they helped us paint these 3 cute witches that were on a road, and I was pleasantly surprised with how they turned out. It was actually really fun, and once I have a little more time on my hands, I would love to get better at painting. I also took a watercolor painting this really cool nutcracker that was just a bunch of different colors all swirled together. And I never would have thought of that, but it turned out so cute. I did a more traditional, but not necessarily traditional colors. My house has a lot of greens and pinks, but like very soft, like kind of cottagey vibes. So that's what I did. I'll have to show you guys my nutcracker as well. And then I also do every fall, I have a fall fest party, which is like my favorite thing in the world. I absolutely adore fall. I love everything about it. I know I am a basic girl, but I just love it so much. I love all things pumpkin spice. I love sweater weather. I love when you get that first little feel of the fresh, crisp fall air. Love it. I love warm drinks. I love having a little hot cocoa or a pumpkin steamer from Starbucks. I just am a big fall girly at heart, and I have decided that I am going to do a fall fest party every year. Actually, I decided this a long time ago. Right after we got married, actually, I started doing this party, and it has become a favorite tradition. So what I do is I will make a whole bunch of yummy fall foods. I will make some really good soup. I pick a soup that year and do that. I have a little hot cocoa bar. I usually will do carameled apples or like a caramel apple dip and some kind of yummy treat. My husband is a baker because I think I said it in my Oregon video that we owned a Great Harvest for several years, and my husband was the baker, and he is the best baker. We may have to do like how-to baking video with an ASMR style of speaking, because he has some really good recipes. Last year for my party, he made quinamon. If you have not had that, go look it up. It is this pastry that it's a kind of like a croissant, but in like the shape of a cinnamon roll. But it's got all the layers of like a croissant. You fold the dough over to get those like crispy layers, and basically it's just butter and sugar, and oh my gosh, it is this is supposed to be our sea glass color, but it's a little bit more of like a powdery blue. So here goes number 2. Okay, back to this house that was down kind of in the middle of nowhere on a farm. But every Christmas they had these little bears that were cut out of plywood. Would it be plywood? Anyways, they were ice skating bears that they had painted, and they were darling. And they put these lights up and made it look like these bears were ice skating on this pond on their property. And every single December, we would drive down and see these little bears, and it was like a staple of Christmas, and I loved them so much. And I told myself that one day, when I was older, I would have something up in my yard for people to come and look at every Christmas. I'm very, very into traditions, especially at Christmas time. So, last year, we're finally in our house that we're going to be in for a long time. So I went and got plywood, and I cut it out, and I was gonna just do bears, but then I had so many ideas that I wanted to do that I came up with this idea of doing a whole bunch of different snow globe scenes, because that way I could do the bears, but I could do other things too. And I'm just gonna add a snow globe every year until I don't have any more room. And I gotta tell you, I did 2 last year. That was my craft for my fall party, and I love them. I love them so much. I am so happy when I put them in my yard. Okay, here they are. I had to add a little picture just so you could see them really quick. But I did a cute little nutcracker scene, and then a cute little Santa with his reindeer. And I love them so much. I haven't decided which theme I'm going to go with this year for my snow globe, but I put them out, and then I put some lights on them for the night, and it lights them up, and they're just so fun. I love being very festive for the holidays. Oh, sorry, I have moved on to number 3, which is the lemon color. I think I might have said daffodil color before, but it is lemon. Sorry about that. Anyway, so that is my spiel about my fall party and my Christmas globes, and those will probably be my craft for the next few years at my fall party. But it's really fun, and I think I think my friends really enjoy coming to it, and it's just a fun girls' night to get away. So I would highly recommend doing one. It's just a great time. So I also thought I would tell you guys a few good news stories that I have heard while we finish up this first part of my paint by numbers. There will be a part 2 where I finish it, but it was getting really long, and so I decided to do it in several parts. But my AC just came on. I hope that is not annoying. But I heard the cutest story, and it's on Reddit. It was on a Reddit feel-good story, and I'm actually gonna read it to you because it's so sweet, and I love the way that the mom wrote it. So I'm gonna go ahead and read that to you. And before I do, I hope it doesn't bug you guys. When I turn the paper, I hope it doesn't bug you guys, because I can't get everything at that same angle. But disorder. It causes physical and intellectual disabilities. She doesn't really have friends, so birthday parties are not a thing. We have found other ways to make her birthday special, like going to a baseball game and handing out cupcakes to people sitting near us. We spent a decent amount of time at major theme parks because she enjoys the excitement. She enjoys the excitement, character interactions, and shows. The people who work there have come to know her, and she calls them her best friends. Oh, that's so sweet. If she tells us she wants to visit her friends, she means going to this theme park. During a visit to the park near her 16th birthday, she mentioned to the workers that her birthday was near and that all she wanted was to spend the day with her friends. A few days later, I was contacted by one of them on Facebook and asked if it was true that she wasn't having a 16th birthday party. I said yes and explained why, but that it was all good because we intended to come to the parks and celebrate. A couple days before her birthday, I was contacted again and asked to bring her by a place where one of the performers worked a second job so they could tell her happy birthday on her actual birthday. Those theme park workers got together, rented out a venue, and threw her a huge, amazing, and totally on her level 16th birthday party because a lot of them were friends with the characters. I didn't even recognize half of them. They sang, put on a show, had cake and ice cream, balloons, the whole thing. She spent the whole time smiling and laughing. I spent the whole time crying. I will forever be grateful to these people who have such kind, generous hearts. I thought that was the sweetest story, and I hope that my kids will be that kind and thoughtful someday because that warmed my heart so much to hear that. Okay, here's another really sweet one. It doesn't say who wrote this one, but it says, a slightly old memory. I was about 14 or 15, and at the time I struggled with a lot of anxiety. I was having panic attacks every day, and I was mute because of it. They say selective mutism. More accurately, it's a phobia of the expectation to speak. One time, I was in the middle of a panic attack after struggling to participate in PE, and I was sat in the fetal position crying, rocking back and forth, just a bit away from everyone else. The teachers hadn't come to check on me yet because they were busy with the rest of the kids. All of a sudden, this tiny voice says, "Are you okay?" I look up and it's a kid, maybe 7 at the oldest, holding a football. He was clearly playing with his friends who were standing at a distance, but he took the time to come over and see me. I was mute, so I just shook my head at his question. I had a principle about not lying when someone asked if I was okay. He asked, "Do your friends not want to play with you?" and gestured to the rest of the class. Again, I couldn't explain, so I just shook my head. "It's okay," he said. "Sometimes my friends don't want to play with me either, and that makes me sad. It's okay to be sad. You'll be okay again." I smiled and nodded, knowing he was right. He smiled back and left to go play with his friends. I wish I could tell him how much it meant to me. My anxiety was such a constant at the time that people had stopped checking up on me, showing sympathy, or even just being there. They knew that there was nothing they could do about my attack, so they left me alone. This kid didn't know me at all. It takes guts to be a 7-ish years old and walk up to an older kid who's clearly emotional and reach out to them. He was so kind to do that. He had no idea what I was going through. All these years later, I'm okay again. Cute. I really liked that one. Sweet little kids. I just love kids. Okay, I actually have one about my sweet little daughter. So when she daughter's little baby sister is named Baby Margaret. And my daughter loved this show, so we bought her this little Baby Margaret toy that would like make noises, and I can't remember if it said I love you or something like that. So she had this toy and it was her favorite. She carried it with her everywhere. And we found out that one of my cousins, she had had a lot of health problems and she ended up having a miscarriage. And she was obviously really sad and distraught about it. And so we were going to go take dinner to her. And I was trying to kind of explain to my daughter, she's like, oh, what's wrong with, I won't say her name, but what's wrong with your cousin? And I said, well, she had a baby in her belly and it died and went back to heaven. And so she's feeling really sad. So my sweet little 3-year-old goes and gets her baby Margaret and brings it to me and says, Mama, I want to give this to your cousin so that she has somebody to hug and feel better. And I just started crying. I thought it was the sweetest thing and just so genuine. Just this little 3-year-old like giving up her favorite toy to help my cousin. So we did. We took it over to her and gave it to her, and she of course was just sobbing and thinking it was the sweetest thing. And she wrote my daughter a little note that said, thank you so much. Your baby Margaret made me feel so much better, and I loved hugging her, and it was so kind and thoughtful for you to think of doing something like that for me. So that was a very proud mom moment. I have very thoughtful kids, and I am very grateful for that. They're always thinking of others and doing things for others. My other daughter even another time saved up a bunch of her money. You know, we have like certain chores you can, like certain extra chores you can do for some extra money, and they had done like a little lemonade stand and stuff like that. And my daughter saved up that money and wanted to give it to my other 2 daughters for a shopping spree, a surprise shopping spree for them. And I was like, are you sure you want to do that? Like, you do not have to give your money away. They, you know, have earned their own money. And she's like, Mom, I really want to do it. Like, it makes my heart happy. And so she did. She gave them both like, I think it was like $50 each, which was a lot. It was most of her money. And she gave it to them because she just really wanted to see them happy, and it was so sweet. But they're always doing things like that for each other. Like if one of them sees something that they think another one of them would love, they'll be like, can I spend my money to get this for her? And I just think it's so sweet. So I'm very lucky. I have some really, really sweet kids, and I love them so much. Okay, I'm gonna try to find one more, maybe, I think probably just one more story, and then we're gonna wrap it up for today, and I will finish this paint by numbers another day. Okay, this says, last fall my sweet mom died after a long struggle with dementia. Her funeral is being held in our hometown rather than where we were currently living. My mom and I love flowers, growing and arranging them. I decided to do her flowers for the service and also her grave. My own garden was slim pickings that time of year, so my son and I stopped by Trader Joe's. I had an entire basket of flowers. When I got to the checkout, the cashier said, wow, having a party. I said, well, my mom died and I'm making her arrangements. The look on her face completely changed. She came out from behind the register and asked if she could hug me. She asked my mom's name and asked if she could say a prayer for my mom. She said the sweetest short little prayer for both my mom and my family. Then she asked if it would be helpful if the flowers were left in water. I said yes, absolutely. So the cashier called another team member who took the whole basket to the back, filled extra buckets with fresh okay just for me. I thanked both of them, and they insisted on walking them out for me and loading them in my car. I will never forget their kindness on one of the worst days. To the cashier at Trader Joe's in Charlottesville, Virginia, I haven't forgotten you, and I will always shop at Trader Joe's. So cute. Well, there you guys have it. There are a lot of chit-chatting and some good, happy, feel-good stories at the end. I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, if you have any videos ideas that you would like to see, don't hesitate to